recording. All right, let's grab our fixed range volume profile of the range. You see our volumes coming up here with our news. I'll pop that across. This thing just grinded up with no volume until we had that 8:30. We had a Fed speaker and then news at 9:45. There's some huge swings in here. Do you guys survive this all right? No gambling in this bit? Got the move down. Nice. All right, we want our previous session. So we've got NYPM highs up here. NYPM lows here. So looking at these for our draw for Asia. Oops. And we'll pop our manipulation zone from that Q4 AM swing. This bit here, such a big zone. And then we can grab this whole one here. High that made the low. Give us a bit of a range to work with. I've had there's an SBS that come into here as well. I don't know if you guys were watching this or if that was talked about in the New York stream. So once we've had our break of this low, then we've got our second swing here, 3, and then we're looking for that sweep of 2 to come in, and we do an OTE swing from that leg. Which only got into the 0.5. And then you target 3. So this becomes your TP, which becomes 6 here. What time are they? So 14:10, 14:20. So that's our new H4 was in here. Haven't got that on this chart. To 1800. So this H4 was then combined with the SBS. We had an open high low close H4 sweep of 2. It's a nice short opportunity in there. Didn't quite get into that zone, which is a bit annoying. That's when they're nice. So if it wicks up into the zone, even a 0.62 and then short down to 3. So we're in Q2 in Asia at the moment. I want to know too if this is going to be our high of the week or we do go into continuation. Price come back into this downswing here too. This is what caused that breakout swing. So we can mark that up as well. Where we're bouncing at the moment. Flip the 20 SMA there. VWAP underneath. There's no real other clear zones. We'll grab this swing here from the 4-hour candle. See, coming up to 50% there. time are we now? Coming into 2100 open soon. Grab an OTA of this swing. Let's take a look at ES and Dow as well. Getting a bit of a range. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sweep of 3. The question now is, do we, like if we're targeting NYPM low, how high are we going to get first? And do we just range and then come up back into this zone here, and then we get a breakdown? Would love a PM high sweep first, and then target the PM low. Or are we going to come lower and then back up? That's on ES. YM looking weaker. Already come back into that new day opening gap from yesterday. O'clock. Still hasn't tested that zone either. And this one's slightly different with SMT there. SMT at that high. I really want to see what Q3 of the 90-minute cycle will do in Asia. If we do get a sweep of Q2 back into this zone and then draw down to NYPM low. Or if we break this zone here, come back in, respect 50%. And then short here, down to the PM low. Adrian, what made the biggest difference when you came to predicting price market out of the H1 manipulation on weekly profiles? What made the biggest difference? Do you mean like in my trading in general? Can you elaborate on the question? I think like the biggest thing that helped me was doing like continually doing daily reviews and doing the high time frame reviews. Futures day price action. So once for a long time, I'd been trying to, well, since I studied Wyckoff's theory, I really wanted to work out a way to be able to measure and work out the expansion levels from manipulation swings. So in Wyckoff, it was called a spring. So you get your accumulation, similar to PO3, accumulation, manipulation, and you get the expansion. And trying to work out a way to measure that. And originally I was looking at using standard fibs. So I would look for a break of structure, and then I would use a fib and look for a 1.618 break. I'm not sure if I've still got that. I used to call that, that was sort of the first strategy I'd come up with myself, boss break of structure strategy. Let's do that the other way. So I used to do this on a 4-hour chart all the time when I was trading crypto and measuring the springs or the manipulation moves. Just change the colors. And from doing a lot of testing of this, so I used to wait for the breakout, and then I would look for, I'd use the 382 as a retracement normally, or a 618 retracement, and then I'd target the 2.618 and 1.618. From there, I went to, so I always looked at these zones or these manipulation swings on a 4-hour chart with Bitcoin. Was how I started after studying Wyckoff theory, and then went into studying ICT for 2 years. And I just kept playing around with that on different time frames. And the more I studied and the more I worked on that, and I did the MMXM course and worked on order time frame alignment. And the time frame alignment then got me looking into what to use with the weekly expansions and working on that 1-hour time frame, and then over time just seeing that 1-hour time frame align so well with the weekly time frame. And then more recently, or like over the last 12 months, it's been pairing the 5-minute with the 1 hour, and more recently the 5-minute with the 4-hour. And just seeing that repeat over and over again. So by putting in the reps and doing this daily, weekly, even looking at the monthly with these daily standard deviation levels, you just see them align all the time. And it's just that repetition. You keep putting it in, you see it happen all the time, and then it allows to predict later on once you've seen it so many times. That's why I like if there's not a really clean setup on the H1, or you don't see a clear break, by Monday, Tuesday, for either a Monday, Tuesday low or high of the week, then I don't really want to play around with it. We want those clean manipulations and those measurements to be able to work with, to give us something to play with. Otherwise, it's just going to get chopped up. So it's just consolidating in here now. So we still don't know if this is going to be our zone for Asia or if we're going to take the high. So there's no rush here. Just starting the next macro now for the H1. We'll pop our 4-hour up and have a look as well. So our 4 hours open down, high. So nothing super obvious there either. Put that back to the 1 hour. Now as we're stepping up. Key level here at that 705. It's going to be an interesting close for the 1 hour. See if we close below that previous one. Be a swing failure. While waiting for that, we'll jump back to that 1 hour chart. So this was our current manipulation swing with the Monday low. And what we're trying to work out now is if we're going to get if it's a Wednesday high of the week, and we just come back into here for the rest of the week, or if we come back and fill this gap. So we can also grab this current swing at the moment. Look at this, how this come up and respected the previous Monday's high. So we had this 1 hour zone and it's gone straight up to 50% of that zone with the news and then just pushed straight off. So I had previous week market maker sell model coming down. We've come back up now. Broken structure here. This is unmitigated, this 1 hour order block. This is unmitigated here. I was looking for, this is what I wanted yesterday, was price to turn here, come back into this order block, into the news at 9:30 and then push up. We're just not getting those, we're not getting those manipulations below true day open. So ideally what we want to see for the bullish price action was to come back down, even here. Come below, manipulate below true day open and then expand up. Same here, come back, mitigate this, break structure here and then expand up to this order block. So this is not easy price action to work with. And now we're trying to work out whether this is our high swing of the week. We can put a zone here for now. And we'll be watching for candle closes above 50% of this for continuation. Otherwise rejections for the turn for price to come back down. So we can see on the previous week, this is what I mean, we had that manipulation above true day open, expands down, manipulation above true day open, expands down. No manipulation above here on the Monday. So once we get our new, we can pop that CB in as well. Once we get our new daily open level 2, should be interesting. It's going to be a key level here too. Center back. Yeah, so if we're turning bearish, we've got these levels down here. If we don't take that out in Asia, we would look for the open from our new true day open, manipulate up into this zone. We don't want price to go above 50% of the zone. And then we can look for a break in here. Just didn't draw that very well. And come back down to that SD 1.5. We do have a bullish SBS if we're including this gap here. from this swing. This is actually what I was watching for yesterday, so I wanted price to come back to 2 here. So we've got our breakout is 1, a swing back is 2, 3, 4 and 5 would be under 2 if we mark that out. Should be good to review this tomorrow as well. See if Jess will jump on tomorrow for a high TF review as well. We do that to the high. So we've got this whole range. So from the Monday low to our current Wednesday high, we've got our point of control here on the 1 hour. This is where our max volume was coming in. It's interesting, I thought it would be up high for those sells. So we've got a 1 hour. So our fixed range volume profile on the 1 hour from this low to our new high is down here as well. This is at 50% of this unmitigated order block. Bullish SBS, plausible sweep of 2 down into this zone. Yeah, this would be quite nice. Obviously invalidated if we shoot back up. Candle closes above 50% of this zone. And a zone flip. And then continue up to SD 2.5. All right, let's jump onto that 5 minutes. We're looking. You guys got any questions on that 1 hour chart? It's everyone's thoughts for how the day is going to play out. Let's pop the rest of our 4 hour vertical lines on. Six. So we've got our vertical lines here for our 4 hour candles to work with. So if looking for bearish 4 hours, we want those open high, low closes. And vice versa for bullish. Just tight consolidation in here. So if we line the arrow that I've drawn here even with that 4 hour at the 2200 open, and we get a swing. So if we break this zone, we get a swing up at 2200 for that macro time into like 2210 or 15. Break, displace, come back into the zone for the 4 hour open and come down to that NYPM low. Could be quite nice. All right, well, that's doing nothing. Let's have a look at the review for the day. So starting off with that gap up straight away. Once again, painful because we have all liquidity on the highs from over here. If I pop that, sorry, I'll put a chart on that's not so messy. So got all this liquidity over here for it to get along and expand up, but that's all taken with that push up with that new day opening gap to break that zone. So we gap up into Asia, and then we had SIBI in here during Q1. We have a retest, and this was during the, it's actually shorter this was during the 8 p.m. macro. Price unable to get above 50% of the SIBI, and then pushed down and took the low here. Remember if we had SMT at that low. SBS as well, one sort of been more on the 1 minute. 2, 3, 4, 5. That becomes our 6. And OTE, I believe. Just missing OTE there. Expansion down. I'll just pop this. Back on, unable for it to, I thought I would have swept this from the open now, 1800 open. Not sure if ES got there. E equal and YM. No, YM didn't sweep it until NYPM. Okay, so we go into our Asia Q3. No sweeps, we just expand back. Have our 20 SMA here, which price respected for most of the day. Our ISCB here from this manipulation swing. There's not much of a clean low swing to deviate from. We can grab this, but really prefer up close candle when they're down into the downswing. So we come back up, we're just displaced here, flip this ICV, continue up into Q1, and then builds liquidity here in Q1 for London. Get an OTE here. And then Q2, we can draw a box across from this swing. And then we get an SBS coming out of here, which starts to get slightly cleaner. So swing up, breaks these highs, 1, retracement is 2. Which one was lower? That one. 3. We do our OTE swing from the low here, 1 to 3. And then price comes back to that. So sweeps 2, comes back to OTE, 0.62, and then expands higher from there. Sweep of 3 becomes our 6. And very hard to take because prices up in premium. We've left this gap down here. We've got the wickless open at the 1800. Asia high. So 3 did make the equal highs with Asia. But just a really tough trade to take when so high in premium. And then we've got all of these lows that are untested. And this was at, so 3/10, this is our 3 o'clock macro. Let's come in. And we break above. Flips this IBISI here. So I was watching this. I did take a short here, coming into 3 o'clock. And I was targeting Asia low from here. I wanted this move to be the London manipulation. Like this. And then after this swing, so still couldn't close above this ICB. And then after this 5-minute candle here, moved stop loss to break even. Being very protective as we're quite bullish. And we had that 20 SMA below us. And then got taken out at break even here at 315. Also coming into that 3 o'clock macro is hard to... Didn't want to keep my stop loss above here for this move. So normally I would, if we had a clean breakdown or displace below here, would have been happy to keep the stop loss up here until we hit SD 1.5, but just wasn't happy after this 3 o'clock move here. Sitting in drawdown through that, and then after this 5-minute close, I moved stop loss to break even. It's taken out at 315. And so it was a bullish SBS. Get our 6, which also takes out the Asia high and expands up. Then go into another SBS. So during that SD 1 to 1.5. That current chart's still not doing much. So we look for that reaccumulation at 1 to 1.5, which is another SBS. We don't get the sweep of 2 here, but we had the SMT. So this whole 4 hour ended up being the open low with this SBS here into a high close. We all see that nicely. Let me do that. So we've opened low, high, close. And so yeah, so the breakout is 1, pullback is 2, we get our 3. Do an OTE, it didn't come close that time. Builds liquidity along here. It's another good sign that it's not going to break down once we get these relative equal highs along the way, just with a slow grind. Builds liquidity. SMT, so was it ES? Had our 1, 2 was here. So ES sweat and one to YM didn't really, I mean, this was the same low. So sweep with ES into continuation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gave us the SMT and then continuation. So 6 is up here. So if just taking scalps with these, the idea is to get in on 4 or 5 and then you take profit at 6, especially when we don't have anything else to the left. We've got our standard deviations. If you want to go higher than 6, then you target the 2.5. 3.5 here, hitting nicely. And then we've got a OTE swing from this low. This one did not get swept, so 1, 2, 3. Q1. Nothing on ES there either. Just passed an eval. Nice work, man. We're still just consolidating. Just building up some liquidity here. Now H1 macro at the moment. That zone. Zone still holding. VWAP. So continuation into New York, Q2, Q3. So we hit the SD 4.5. Stayed up for this. I wanted a breakdown here, a Q3 breakdown. And this is all our news in here, and Fed chair talk. And these swings, like that was, you know, talking 200-point move. There's nothing clean in here. And we get the new 4-hour open. And finally the breakdown. So break here into a bearish SBS, which we were discussing earlier. So 1, 2, shorts later on the swing of 2. Have that zone drawn on as well. And OTE. Which was just the 0.5. Of the charts. Thanks, man. Thanks for the feedback. It's new H4 here, and that was the open high low close from 1400. We can also do a deviation for the 4-hour swing. And targets at that 1.5. So 2.5 we can see here, it's cleanly there. Which will be the second take profit. And that was the full expansion for that 4-hour SD 2.5. Into 1500 macro. So even if you're unsure in here, got that sweep of 2, you can then do zones within the 4 hours. So that high sweep. And we can see the zone gets respected. Price unable to close above 50% of that move. Break of the zone here. I'm looking for entries after the break below. And how do you guys go from, if you're sitting through New York AM and PM with these nice swings, and then you come into Asia and we're getting these tiny little 5-minute moves. Consolidation. This was straight back to that London Q3 manipulation too. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So we hit SD 4.5 of that. Ideally, a entry at 4 o'clock macro. You know, after we've broken out of this. Vinny, I always look for a manipulation zone in a Q3? Doesn't matter. It's higher probability in Q3, especially in New York. London can be Q2 a high percentage of the time as well. Let me bring up that standard deviation. Can you guys see this okay? Is that coming up? So in London, Q3, 59.6 at the time. We have our manipulation swing, 26 for Q2, hardly anything for Q4, Q1. New York Q3 is 52% of the time. And so these are how often it'll hit those standard deviations. So if we get a Q3 manipulation in New York, we've got a 31% chance it'll hit SD4. 2.5, 64% chance for SD 2.5. Yeah, I can post a there's a copy of it in the lab area for session manipulations as well. I post it in there regularly. If you guys are on your phones, it's probably hard to see as well. I've got a big widescreen. I've just got this data on NQ. You know, but a lot of the time the manipulation's the same. Or they sort of mirror each other unless you're getting an SMT. So yeah, definitely it's more weighted towards the Q3s. So that's why Jess has been working just on Q3s with her current backtesting. And then this is the new data I'm working on at the moment. And this is within each H4 candle. So we're looking for the standard deviation's only within the 4-hour candle, so that the data finishes at the end of the 4-hour candle, and I'm counting each change in state of delivery, because sometimes you get a double change in state of delivery. So we're wanting to work out which one it's weighted towards. So for this, like the 1800 4-hour candle, majority of the time it's happened on the first break, not the second. Pretty even with the macro times as well. So out of the data so far, so I'm trying to scale down to getting the best 4-hour candle data, and like what's more common with a macro time. So at the moment, with that, the 6 o'clock, the 6 a.m. candle, 13 times that 7 o'clock macro has been the best entry point from the first change in state of delivery. So keen to get these over 100 reps for each candle and get that data in, and see if we can really find some 4-hour candles that stand out more than others, and a macro time that stands out more than others. Like if we can get one 4-hour candle that hits, SD 3.5 85% of the time, be very profitable just to do that one move. Yeah, keen to keep building some more data, Vinny. But if you even just go back through your charts and you look at that, I've got that break out of that zone now. So even if you just go back through your charts and keep looking at Q3s in New York, for the last few months, and just map out that one swing. So if you're looking for the breakdowns, it's the low that made the high. You can grab that whole box, do standard deviation of that leg, and just keep doing that back through your chart. You'll start to see a pattern. So we've got that breakout now, getting displacement there as well. Leave some liquidity on these highs. So I would like a push back into the zone. Ideally within that next H1, and then looking for shorts in here. We can do an OTE swing of this leg 2 once that low's in. Just get rid of this one. So once this low comes in, and drag this across for the next H4. And we draw out PD arrays within the zone. So we'll call this one our Asia Q2. For now. And we can do a deviation of that. Hopefully that's the low. Really would have preferred a CB up here, or a inverted BC, inverted bullish fair value gap into the manipulation. Up higher. Having it here is a little bit frustrating because we don't really want that to get flipped. And we did leave some liquidity along here. Get rid of that. Even a sweep of this. And that SIBI just gets washed. So our ideal setup then would be like this. If we're not taking it straight off the zone, I'm looking for SD 1.5. $2.5 plus that NYPM low. $3.5. So using these aligned with previous session lows. So we've still got that London low down here as well. Coming in around the 2.5. SD2 NYPM low. If you would like to trade in the same direction of existing trend instead of reversals, which quarter is more likely? Quarter four. Nah, if you can still, so for trending, you're still doing the same thing. And you're looking for the manipulation against trend. So here in London, we've got that quarter three here. That becomes our manipulation zone. And we get our standard deviation off of that. We look for the break of the zone. Normally we want a DK, normally we want an ICB or something in here, or a BPR like this. This is what we want to see in the Q3s. So you get the breakouts for continuation. You draw your zone on. So this is a bit clean. This is what we would like to see here. And you see price still comes back to that. This would have been cleaner if this was in London Q3. So you get the manipulation down, you get a BPR in here. You can do a standard deviation from that one as well. And you see price came back into that zone and then took off. We do an OTE. So it comes back 0.62. Got that BPR, didn't quite get back to that. During a macro time, so 310 into another manipulation zone, and then we expand up. So your continuation trades, if we enter just off of this zone, would look like this. So continuation, you just want that manipulation back against trend and then continuing up. If we're taking it in Q3 here and wait for that breakout, ideally we want those BPRs within that manipulation just to give you a tighter entry. Otherwise we wait for the price to break out above. Had displacement here. SD 1.5, same thing, 2.5. And ideally taking these on separate accounts so that you get full TPs at each deviation level. The tricky part is when trending like this and you don't have that data from the previous day on the left, which is what I prefer, right? Like if we come up and then we come down into London, then you have all of the data of the swings on the way down, and we can use those levels to target with the standard deviation levels for coming higher. Whereas when it's just breaking out above the highs and continuing up, it's a lot harder to get into these trades and hold the trades, especially like we're starting the sessions already in premium. Much prefer these down into discount, and we have all that data on the left to be able to long to. Oops. You guys have any more questions? Does that make sense, DK? That's also where those SBSs can help. So if you're getting those retests of a zone back into 4 or 5, so have a breakout 1, 2, 3, the break of 2 is 4. So we've got a previous zone. The manipulations come into that zone during a swing breakout sequence. Yeah, lots of confluence. To do a forecast for the rest of the week, Vinny, so on the 1 hour, still trying to determine if that current high, so for our Wednesday, if that becomes the high of the week or not. So pretty tricky to forecast the rest of the week. This is what I would like for today. So this to become the current high, and we respect this 1 hour SIBI here and this zone, and come back here and mitigate these order blocks down here. So this downswing, there's another one here. So this whole downswing here hasn't been mitigated either. So I'd like price to respect this current zone and come down for Thursday. And then we either, so this was our fixed range volume profile here, this whole swing up. So you come back and maybe even look for the longs off of here, either Thursday or Friday. And this will then get negated if we just come back up and flip the current zone. So watching this 1 hour SIBI in here. Do I have a ranking of the best Q3 timing? Like, do you mean like within the actual times? Like, well, it's normally, like in London, it would be 3:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. for New York PM. New York AM, sorry. Yeah, so 3:30 and 9:30. The Asia one's normally around 21:30, but it's not consistent enough. You don't look for mitigations of old OBs. Yeah, add that in, Vinny, especially if it's untested. So use those manipulation swings that cause the breakouts, draw them on as an OB or a zone, and if they're untested, they definitely become a point of interest. Statistics by specific Q3 timing. For example, NY945. I don't, man. Like most of it's just calculated on that 90-minute Q3, which goes from 9 to 10:30. It's hard too, because like the manipulation, like for this, starts at 10:20 and goes all the way to 10:35, rather than just saying one specific time. That's why I use that 90-minute quarters, because it gives us an hour and a half to work with. It's looking good so far. So we've come back into the zone. Still got a bit of time before the next H4. Mo Money, I've got my mentorship channel that you can go to, and that goes through what I do. So JD trades on the 1 minute. It's similar ideas. Yep, my mentorship's all on there, and how I trade is all on the 5 minute, and using the 90-minute, the 90-minute quarters instead of the micro quarters. Yeah, so I think Jess has got the data, DK from on the 1 minute Q3s, if you want that drilled down a bit more. All right, guys, well, if there's no more questions, I think I'll leave it there. Some nice rejection off the zone here. I'd still like to see a sweep of this liquidity here, respecting the SIBI. And looking for shorts with that new H4 for plausible open high, low close, targeting New York PM low as the main liquidity for this session. No worries. Thanks, Vinny, and thanks for the questions. All right, guys, we'll catch you later.